smallholder farmers by 12%, and the result is that the food production, rice production in Indonesia improved by 16%. So there is clear linkage of how important fertilizer in agriculture commodity. Now, question about affordability and availability is an old school questions. There is another question about how to make it sustainable. To do that, we've done so many things. We introduced what we call smart precision farming. We use technology, satellite-based, to make sure that the crops get what it needs, not more, not less. Because if you give them more, it'll just leaching to the, create a lot of pollution and so many other things. But I'd like to take the discussion further because recently I think Indonesia are confronted with two very important challenges. One is, of course, food security, in which we now see very strong light at the end of the tunnel. We know that Indonesia won't import rice this year, and hopefully for so many years in the future. But also Indonesia is confronted with energy security. And what is so interesting is that the government look at agriculture to solve this. So government just introduced mandated fuel blending B50 and also E5. That would require a lot of improved productivity and also a lot of land expansions in agriculture. And so with that, I think question about sustainability will become more important. And second thing, on helping Indonesia moving into more sustainable, less carbon economy, Indonesia also on last month issued government regulations that mandated ammonia as part of the energy mix. So before, ammonia is a chemical compound that's seen as a nitrogen carrier. So the hydrogen carries nitrogen, and you use that to provide nitrogen, which is key nutrient to the plants. Now ammonia is seen as a hydrogen carrier, in which ammonia, the nitrogen will carry hydrogen, which will be used to reduce the carbon emission of the fuel, because we know ammonia is carbon-free fuel. So I think talking about sustainability and agriculture, there are two things. How you manage the sustainability of the agriculture itself, but also how we can help the country tackling a very important task, which is energy security, using a sustainable practices of agriculture. Thank you, Sachin.
Okay. In fact, fantastic. That, I think, was a great first round. Big warm applause for our speakers. Yeah. So, if you think about it, we sometimes don't give enough importance to how food comes to our table. We think, it's there at home, whether you look at it, you go to a restaurant, but there's a huge industry that makes sure that we are feeding the world. And I think this has dramatically changed from where it was 50 years ago, 100 years ago, to 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. But if you look at it today, the dramatic change in the way food is being produced to make sure there's food for everyone is really driven by technology. And I think, I picked up on some of the comments that our speakers made today, that they are seeing, they have initiatives where the younger generation is being empowered. So I'd like to go a little bit deeper into that in the second round. I'd like to understand, yes, we have a lot of technology. Yes, we have a lot of investment. Agri-tech is hot today, right? It's one of the sectors everybody's looking at. And if you look at young people in the rural areas, they are understanding and they're figuring it out and they have more knowledge. They're not just blindly doing farming. Of course, guided by companies like you, that's very important. But the question I have, and I'm going to go around the whole panel, and if you could keep it short, then we can get a little bit more into this, is how do we scale this? How do we scale the use of innovation, agri-tech, and digital tools to empower more and more of these smallhold farmers? Because, the capacity building is a real challenge. And if they understand the technology, they'll apply it a lot better. So maybe I'll start with Pachep. Pachep, if you could just give us, what have you been doing in order to build it through scale? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Sachin. Yeah, I think the challenge you mentioned is real and is valid because, as I mentioned, smallholders contributes 40% of the plantations, right? And now, because with the aging of plantation, it's also the aging of the people who do it before. So now is coming the second generations, so younger generation. So the son, the daughter, and they are going to the university, and some of them they don't want to go back to the sites and then to do the agriculture, right? Because to them it's much more proud for them to use the tie, and then working in the office, right?
Correct.
But that's why I think we need to promote to the young generations that, and also the smallholders, that we need to grow with them through partnership. So I think we need to grow with them so they are not growing behind them. So behind us, because partnership is the heart of this smallholders inclusion programs. And at Astra, I think we have worked with thousands of farmers all over Indonesia. And we provide them with many kinds of support in order to make them can increase their livelihood, increase their productivity as well. But I think it lies like in several key aspects. Number one, I think is as I mentioned before, is capacity building again. So we need to educate and training them and provide them with good agronomy practices. We have our R&D team that will be ready to support them, how to use the better fertilizers and the biopesticide as well, and how to reduce the use of water, because it's also very important for the sustainability as well. And secondly, I think technology driven and data analytic. We scale up, we expand our digital applications for the smallholders to use. To ease them for scheduling their deliveries. They can also access to pricing information. They can also access to the payment as well, including the tax services. I think we are going to support them as well. And the use of drones and the technology, because sometimes the smallholders, they do it very traditionally. And then by using data analytics, we can help them to understand which block is actually produced more, which block is using more fertilizer, which block is better. So I think we can do a comparison to them and then to give them feedback. And the last but not least is actually to support them with the market access and financing as well. Because sometimes they don't have the access to market. We can purchase the fruit directly, and also we provide them with financing.
Yeah.
The value chain, the supply chain financing, especially for them to buy the truck, for example, because they need to support their work as well. I think that is something that we do, and then we will try to increase in the future as well.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned financing, because that's my next question actually, and I'm going to ask Anita to take up on that. If you'd like to add something to what Jap said, that's also fine. But the question I'd like to pose to you, Anita, is about financing models. What kind of financing models are effective nowadays in order to be able to drive investment in sustainable agriculture at scale, basically?
So I'm going to cycle back on the young people in farming,
Sure.
because actually these two questions are connected.
Connected, exactly.
And I think that it requires us to reconsider how we think about our own approaches to supporting communities and farmers. The average age of a smallholder farmer in Southeast Asia is around 53, 54. And when we were doing some analysis of our engagement programs with communities and farmers, guess what? The average age of the people that we target with these programs, 48 to 55. There is a huge audience in the ages 18 to 35 that we should be targeting and thinking about how do we engage them in food production, in agricultural production. And those programs probably do need different kinds of financing solutions. Instead of treating smallholder farmers in some kind of patronizing way, think of them as small business owners. right? They are family businesses, just like your local milk shop when I was growing up in Australia. And so if we start treating them like